Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome to Bhaktiville, Dandavat pranams. It's Friday night, and we're here in Bhaktiville, reading from Srila Prabhupada's book, The Teachings of Queen Kunti. We're on chapter 20, titled Full Surrender. In looking at what Queen Kunti says to Lord Krishna as he's leaving them, Srila Prabhupada discusses what full surrender really means. We're on page 171 of the PDF, or page 147 of the book. Before we get started, let me offer my pranams. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namani. I offer my respectful obeisances under His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. And to all the Vaishnavas here, listening, and everywhere, past, present, future. I also, Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So today we have everyone, all of our good friends are here. Bhakti Mimilis doing our tech stuff. Kandita, the creator of this beautiful Panchatattva temple, and Bhakti Greece, our Bhaktiville DJ. Everybody, we're all here. Yes, he says. All right, so let's look at the verse. I've put it up here on a temporary board to my left. Let's go through the word for word first. Api, if, adya, today, naha, us, tvam, you, svakrita, self-executed, ihita, all duties, pabo, O my Lord, jihasasi, giving up, svit, possibly, suhridaha, intimate friends, anujivinaha, living at the mercy of, yesham, of whom, na, nor, ta, and, anyat, anyone else, bhavataha, your, pada ambujat, from the lotus feet, parayanam, dependent, rajasu, unto the kings, yojita, engaged in, hasam, enmity. And the verse in Sanskrit, you can say it along with me there at home. Api adyanastvam svakrite prabho jihasasi svit suhrido nujivinaha yesham nachanyad bhavata padam bujat parayanam rajasu yojitam hasam. The English, O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us? And this is continuing story there in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 8th chapter. This is verse 37. So Prabhupada starts to talk about this. The Pandavas are most fortunate because with all good luck, they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. In the material world, to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of misfortune. But in the case of our transcendental relation with the Lord, it is the most fortunate case when we can live completely dependent on Him. The material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything. But the cruel material nature does not allow us to become independent. The false attempt to become independent of the stringent laws of nature is known as material advancement of experimental knowledge. The whole material world is moving on this false attempt at becoming independent of the laws of nature, beginning from Ravana, who wanted to prepare a direct staircase to the planets of heaven down to the present age, they are trying to overcome the laws of nature. They are trying now to approach distant planetary systems by electronic mechanical power. But the highest goal of human civilization is to work hard under the guidance of the Lord and become completely dependent on him. The highest achievement of perfect civilization is to work with valor, but at the same time depend completely on the Lord. The Pandavas were the ideal executors of the standard of civilization. Undoubtedly, they were completely dependent on the goodwill of Lord Sri Krishna, but they were not idle parasites of the Lord. They were all highly qualified both by personal character and by physical activities. Still, they always looked for the mercy of the Lord because they knew that every living being is dependent by constitutional position. The perfection of life is therefore to become dependent on the will of the Lord, instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world. Those who try to become falsely independent of the Lord are called anatta, or without any guardian, whereas those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called sanatta, or those having someone to protect them. Therefore, we must try to be sanatta, so that we can always be protected from the unfavorable condition of material existence. By the deluding power of the external material nature, we forget that the material condition of life is the most undesirable perplexity. Bhagavad Gita 7:9 therefore directs us that after many, many births, one fortunate person becomes aware of the fact that Vasudeva, Krishna, is all in all, and that the best way of leading one's life is to surrender unto him completely. And let me just refresh your memory of that verse, 7:19. The translation is, after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So that is the sign of a Mahatma. All the members of the Pandava family were Mahatmas in household life. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the head of these Mahatmas, and Queen Kunti Devi was the mother. The lessons of the Bhagavad Gita and all the Puranas, specifically the Bhagavad Purana, are therefore inevitably connected with the history of the Pandava Mahatmas. For them, separation from the Lord was just like the separation of a fish from water. Srimati Kunti Devi therefore felt such separation like a thunderbolt, and the whole prayer of the queen is to try to persuade the Lord to stay with them. I need to stop for a moment. I have all of my sounds on, all my ambient sounds, and I'm hearing people making pictures and doing all these things. So let me just turn all this off. Ah, so much easier. Okay, so there are questions. Pandita said she's going to take a picture of everyone. So that's what I was hearing, was that. Can you all still hear me? Okay, just checking. Greece has a comment. He says, aren't we dependent already? Is there an option? We could be just dependent on money and the material world and not know about Krishna. Well, it looks like you answered your own question there, Greece. We try to be independent. That's the whole issue, is we try to be independent, but we aren't. We are dependent. But the idea is that should be conscious of that dependence. And Prabhupada talks a little bit later on about surrender, and that's part of surrender is knowing that Krishna is our is our maintenance, that it all comes from Krishna. So, all right, let me keep going with the text here. So did I answer that question, Greece? Comment is good? Okay. All right, back to this. For them, the Pandavas, separation from the Lord was just like the separation of a fish from water. Srimati Kunti Devi, therefore, felt such separation like a thunderbolt, and the whole prayer of the queen is to try to persuade the Lord to stay with them. After the battle of Kurukshetra, where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, although the inimical kings were killed, their sons and grandsons were still there to deal with the Pandavas. It is not only the Pandavas who were put into the condition of enmity. All of us are always in such a condition, and the best way of living is to become completely dependent on the will of the Lord, and therefore overcome all difficulties of material existence. After the battle of Kurukshetra ended, and the Pandavas were established in their kingdom, Krishna, before going back home to Dwarka, was taking leave of his aunt and bidding her farewell. It was at that time that Kunti offered this prayer. Now she directly asks, is it a fact that after finishing your duty, you're going away and leaving us alone? This is the devotee's position. Kunti Devi says, Yesham na chanyad bhavata padam bhujat. We have no means of protection other than your lotus feet. This is full surrender. In the process of surrender, Sharanagati, there are 6 items. The first is that one should completely depend on Krishna. And 2, the next is that one should accept everything favorable for Krishna's service. Anukulasya sankalpaha. Anukulyena Krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. A symptom of first-class bhakti, devotional service, is that one accepts everything favorable for that service. And there's a related verse to this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says, when first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy, and fruit of action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably, as Krishna desires. Another item of surrender is pratikulya vivarjanam, rejecting everything unfavorable to the procedures of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes his spiritual master says, don't do this, forbidding something unfavorable, but he also recommends that which is favorable. Do this. Chant Hare Krishna. Full surrender, therefore, entails giving up unfavorable things and accepting that which is favorable. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulya vivarjanam. Furthermore, one should believe with full faith, Krishna will give me protection, and one should count oneself as one of the servants of Krishna. These are some of the items of Sharanagati, full surrender. And there are only 5 on the list, and the 6th one is have no separate interest from the Lord. But let me just summarize these 6 things because it's really important. So accept things that are favorable, reject things that are unfavorable, believe firmly in the Lord's protection, feel exclusively dependent on the mercy of the Lord. 5, have no interest separate from the Lord. And 6, always feel meek and humble. That's the last one, the full surrender. Can I read them one more time? Yes, I can. Okay. Accept things that are favorable, reject things that are unfavorable, believe firmly in the Lord's protection, feel exclusively dependent on the mercy of the Lord, have no interest separate from the Lord, always feel meek and humble. And I read a bunch of these lists of 6, and Prabhupada says them differently in different places. Always expect the Lord's mercy. I love that one. I agree. So one of them is always feel meek and humble. He often says that we should be the most fallen, and Krishna will take care of you. Another one is that desires are not independent. Okay. Desires are not independent. And that's the one where we are exclusively dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Desires are not independent. Accept Krishna as the maintainer is another way that he said them. If you look up 6 symptoms in the database, you can see that there are a lot of different. He says these 6 things in a lot of different ways, but they're still the same. Bhaktiville says the guys used to always claim they were the most fallen. I did not know where that came from. Right. And Prabhupada has called people out on that one. When they say to him, "Oh, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen," he calls them out to go, "Oh, really? Oh, you're the most fallen? How about this person? Oh, no." But yeah, so he can humble even in declaring that you're the most fallen. All right, let's get back to the text. All right. Now, Kunti Devi says, "My dear Krishna, if you think that we are well established now that we have our kingdom back, and if you therefore want to leave us, that is not a very good proposal. We are not free yet. Because we have killed so many kings, all their friends and relatives are planning to come fight with us again. So don't think that we are free from all dangers. We are not, and we have no protection other than your lotus feet. That is our position." Thus, she indirectly says to Krishna, "Do not leave us. Don't think that we are now safe. Without your protection, we are always unsafe." This should be the position of a devotee. We should know that we are actually in danger in this material world. Maya, illusion, may catch us at any time as soon as we are a little inattentive, thinking, "Now I've done my duty. I've chanted my rounds. Let me take a little rest." No, there is no rest. We must be always alert. There is a verse in which Srila Rupa Goswami says, "Avyarta kalatvam," which means being free from wasting time. A devotee should be very much careful to see whether his time is being spent unnecessarily. I heard a comment. Bhakti Greece says the planet Earth is not a nice place. Well, it can be if you're completely dependent on Krishna and fully surrendered, then Krishna's going to present all these things for you to do more service. And then the planet is going to be a wonderful place. Like Srila Prabhupada. It was amazing seeing all these things that happened around him. So, if you're thinking that way, then it's going to be a good thing. If you're thinking the other way, "Oh, this place is miserable and I have this thing wrong and that thing wrong," not depending on Krishna, then it's going to be pretty miserable. Okay, comment above. Canditas also said, she's in when Prabhupada called out people about being the most fallen, he also said, "The most fallen, You are not the most anything. You are simply insignificant. There you go. That's pretty funny. Um, okay, let me catch up with these comments. Bhaktiville says, God, I think of that every day now, wasting time. The day is over before I do what I intend. Oops. Every morning. Yes. And Bhaktiville. Yes, I read that. Okay, Bhaktiville says, Prabhupada was humorous. Oh, he was very humorous. He was quite funny. I love all those pictures of him where he's really smiling. His whole face is just like the sun. So beautiful. All right, back to our text. Um, all right. He should ask himself, am I now engaged in Maya's service or Krishna's service? This is a symptom of an advanced devotee. Namagane Sadaruchi. Such a devotee is never tired of chanting, singing, or dancing. The word sada means always, and ruchi means taste. Devotee always has a taste for chanting Hare Krishna. Oh, very nice. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is taste. Of course, this taste takes time to awaken. But when Rupa Goswami was chanting, he was thinking, I have only one tongue and two ears. What can I appreciate of chanting? If I could have millions of tongues and trillions of ears, then I could relish something by chanting and hearing. Of course, we should not imitate him, but the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement must at least be very careful to complete their 16 rounds, their minimum amount of prescribed chanting. Namagane Sadaruchi. We have to increase our taste for singing and chanting Hare Krishna. And I just wanted to say that that verse, or this phrase that Prabhupada is repeating in this paragraph, comes from kind of a long uh, verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's two verses, and I just want to read it because it's really a beautiful verse. So Rupa Goswami says, when the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, the following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior: forgiveness, concern that time should not be wasted, detachment, absence of false prestige, hope, eagerness, a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, attachment to descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, an affection for those places where the Lord resides, that is, a temple or a holy place like Vrindavan. These are all called anubhav, subordinate signs of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love of God has begun to fructify. Nice verse, eh? All right, back to our text. Furthermore, we should also increase our inclination to live in a place where Krishna lives. Priti Stadvasati Stale. In the vision of higher devotees, Krishna actually lives everywhere. But because we are in a lower condition, we should know that for us, Krishna lives in the temple. Because we do not see Krishna everywhere, we should come to the temple to see Krishna, who kindly appears there by his mercy, in a manner in which we can see him. Krishna has a completely spiritual body, Satchidananda Vigraha. I just want to reiterate that that means that Krishna's transcendental body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. But we do not have the eyes to see what the spiritual body is. We are accustomed to seeing material gross things, jada. We can see stone, metal, wood, and other elements, and because Krishna is everything, to be visible to our imperfect eyes, he appears in a form of these elements. It is not that Krishna is stone or that we are worshipping stone. We are worshipping Krishna. But because we cannot see anything except material elements like stone, Krishna kindly appears in a form carved from stone. Therefore, one should be very much inclined to live within the circle of a temple environment in which the form of Krishna is worshipped. Greece says, Krishna is a blue man as our God, not a statue. Yes. Pandita says, in the Sri Upanishad, it is said that Vishnu does not have veins. Right? He doesn't have a body like ours. He has a body of Satchit Ananda. Moreover, one should always think oneself dependent on Krishna, one of those qualities of surrender, right? This is Krishna consciousness. One should always think, without Krishna in my life, without Krishna, my life is useless and I am in danger. Therefore, while offering her prayers to Krishna, Kunti says, Krishna, you are thinking that now we are safe, but I don't think we are safe. We are always in danger. If you think we are safe, who will give us protection? We have no protection other than your lotus feet. We are encircled by so many enemies because the sons of those who have died in the fight are now preparing to fight with us. Now, although Krishna had come to Kunti Devi to take the dust of the feet of his superior, his aunt, Kunti Devi addresses him as Prabhu, the Lord, not as her beloved nephew. She knows, although Krishna is playing the part of my nephew, my brother's son, he is still the Supreme Master. The symptoms of a really Krishna conscious person are that he knows that Krishna is the Supreme Master. He always thinks himself in danger without Krishna, and by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, he always feels safe. Krishna says, Konteya pratijanihi, na me bhakta pranashati. You may declare to the world that my devotee is never vanquished. And that's from Bhagavad Gita 9:31. If one becomes a pure devotee of Krishna, there is no question of danger. Of course, Krishna gives protection to everyone, for without his protection, no one can live even for a single moment. But one should not think, if Krishna is giving protection to everyone, what is the use of becoming a devotee? Good point. A king gives protection to every one of his citizens, for that is his duty, but he especially protects his own circle of men. This is not unnatural. If one directly engages in the service of the president, when one is in some difficulty, he is especially protected. Although the president gives protection to all the citizens, those who personally associate with him, giving him service, receive special consideration. That is not actually partiality. That is natural. When a gentleman loves all children, but has special love for his own children, no one will say, oh, why are you loving your own children more than the others? No, that is natural. Similarly, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I am equal to everyone. Krishna, being God, loves everyone because everyone is part of him. Nonetheless, he takes special care of his devotees. Therefore, he says, Konteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranashati. My devotee will never be vanquished. Let's look at the comments. Greece says, Krishna is the Joe Biden of the universe. Uh, Krishna always sees to the comforts of his devotees, and devotees are always busy seeing that Krishna is satisfied. The devotees dress Krishna, supply him food, and always engage in serving him. And similarly, Krishna always sees to the happiness of his devotees. This is the intimate relationship between the devotee and Krishna. Every living entity has a relationship with Krishna, but when one becomes a devotee, the relationship becomes intimate. Therefore, Kunti Devi says to Krishna, "How can you leave us? We are your intimate friends. We are simply living by your care, by your mercy. Don't think that we are safe and that you can therefore just leave us. Our life is always under your mercy, for we have no shelter other than your lotus feet. Kindly don't leave us." This is Kunti's prayer. Similarly, Narottam Das Thakur sings, "Haha Prabhu Nanda Sutta, Vrishabhanu Sutta Yuta, Karuna Karaha Ebara." Krishna Nanda Sutta, you are present with Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. Now I fully surrender unto you. Please show me your mercy. And I just want to say at the end of this same verse, Narottam Das says, "O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except you?" So without Krishna consciousness, one thinks, "I shall protect myself, or my society, community, or state, they will give me protection. I have so many protectors. Why should I care for God? Why shall I go to Krishna? Those rascals who have no protection can go to Krishna." But the fact is that unless Krishna gives one protection, one cannot be protected. This is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7:9-19. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nrisimha. This is the chapter where Prahlad Maharaj is talking to Lord Nrsimhadev after his father has been killed. So Prahlad Maharaj offers prayers to Krishna as Nrsimhadev, and he said, "My dear Lord, one should not think that because a child has a father and mother, he has full protection. If Krishna did not protect a child, the child could not be protected, even if he were to have thousands of fathers and mothers." Prahlad also says, "Nartasya chagadam udanvati majato noho." It is not that a good physician or good medicine can protect one from disease. Suppose a rich man is suffering from some disease and he hires a first-class physician and takes first-class medicine. Does it mean that his life is guaranteed? No. Krishna does not want to give him protection. Despite good medical treatment and a good supply of medicine, he will die. Similarly, Prahlad continues, one may have a good boat, but this does not guarantee that he will not drown in the ocean. If you do not protect him, he may drown at any moment. Nature offers so many difficulties, and although scientists may try to invent something to check these difficulties in the struggle for existence, unless Krishna gives one protection, one's inventions will be of no use. Kunti Devi knows this, and therefore, although she is the mother of great warriors like Arjuna and Bhima, she still thinks, although my sons are great warriors, they are not sufficient to give us protection. Nothing can give us protection but your lotus feet. This verse illustrates the position of a surrendered soul seeking the protection of Krishna. If we remain in this position, knowing that our only protector is Krishna and that our only duty is to serve Krishna, then our life is successful. Jai. Any questions? Any more comments? Want to turn up the mics and we can discuss if you like? Oh, we're a little past our time, but this is such an important verse and discussion about surrender.
I mean, that does make sense. Joe Biden's going to take care of like friends he knows in the White House and the Secret Service before He
I
takes
can't.
out of care of someone like saying Kansas.
Yeah, but Lord Krishna is in everyone's heart. I mean, he's everywhere. Joe Biden, I mean, I know it's just a material example, but you know, he's not he he can't be everywhere and protect everybody and anyway, you know that. We all know that. But Krishna is all knowing and he's so wonderful. I just wanted to say too that Prabhupada said that if Krishna wants to kill you, nothing can save you, but if he wants to protect you, then nothing can kill you. So we just depend on him. We just take shelter of him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Oh, and Bhakti Mimula said something. It's in comments. It's easier to see Krishna protecting in an existential sense, but personally, not so easy.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's right. But I have experienced that Krishna has saved my life a couple of times.
yeah. Yeah, I feel always protected. I don't go and do stupid things, but I feel always protected. But that was my upbringing. That that
Wonderful.
that God is always taking care of us, always protecting us.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
yeah,
I didn't have that feeling growing up.
yeah. I had an aunt who was very religious, and I think I've mentioned her before. She's the one who would pray at the restaurant and who would pray when we got on the bus, and she was just always talking to God all day long. And
Who?
it was one of my aunts.
Oh, really?
And she
Wow.
was, when I was younger, I thought, oh, this is kind of crazy. But as I got older, I thought, this is really nice. She's always talking to God. And she was a singer, a Christian singer on the radio, and very involved
Wow.
with Billy Graham. And although she had a regular job, but she did all this other stuff. Yeah, Dr. Mimio says an interesting kind of crazy. She was very well grounded. She never married, and she had quite an interesting group of friends who were similar to her, single and going to all the revivals. And anyway, she was,
That's wonderful. You were born in a pious family.
yeah, and
That's
she was
wonderful.
always, she would pray with me about different things and counsel me about
Wow.
things. She was very interesting. Anyway, but Prabhupada, for me, Prabhupada has just broadened, just broken open that whole thing, and now I know, you know, about Krishna and Bhakti Yoga and just loving it.
Yeah.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Bo.
Jai. Hare Krishna.